A question from the jury deliberating the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial could offer a glimmer of hope for Johnny Depp. Day 2 of jury deliberations in the books, and still no verdict. Remember, Depp is suing Heard, and Heard is countersuing Depp, and they're both accusing the other of lying about the other and of physical and emotional abuse. But legally, this is all centered around an Amber Heard 2018 Washington Post op-ed where she did not mention Depp by name, but did call herself a victim of domestic abuse. The verdict sheet presented to the jury has 42 questions the jury should answer before they deliver a verdict. But in the end, there are really 6 questions at issue about specific comments made in the op-ed about Depp and derogatory comments about Heard made by Depp's attorney. And today, the jurors asked a question. Here's what they said. They said, as to this statement appearing in the op-ed, the title of it was A Transformative Moment for Women, the Washington Post print edition, Amber Heard, the title was Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse. The question the jurors were asked is, do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? And Depp has to prove it's false and defamed him and that Heard knew or should have known that it wasn't true. The jury asked this. Does question number 3 on the jury form pertain to the headline, or does it pertain to everything in the op-ed? The judge answering, the headline is the statement, so not the whole op-ed. This seems significant to me because the best shot Depp has to win is in proving that Heard's claim of, quote, sexual violence was untrue. She says it happened, he says it didn't, and her account on this was a bit shaky. Here was her description of that event.
Your testimony is, Ms. Heard, that either he has the bottle before or after he's holding you by the neck on the counter. Is that your testimony?
He held me by the neck on the counter.
Where's the bottle that he assaulted
you with?
At what
point?
While holding you down by your neck.
When he was assaulting me with the bottle, it was in his hand.
Okay. Was it in his hand before or after he holds you down by your neck?
I was being held down while he assaulted me with the bottle.
When he puts you on the counter, does he have the bottle in his hand, yes or no?
As I have always said, I don't remember exactly what happened first, or I don't remember the sequence. I just remember being aware that I was being assaulted by a bottle while I was on the countertop.
That was cross-examination. Now, he says it never happened.
No human being is perfect, certainly not. None of us. But I have never in my life committed sexual battery, physical abuse, all these outlandish, outrageous stories.
Before the jury went back to deliberate, we also heard more from both Heard and Depp at the very end of the case, with Heard again stating she was a victim.
Did Mr. Depp abuse you physically?
Yes.
Verbally?
Yes.
Emotionally?
Yes.
Psychologically?
Yes.
And she says she was sick of being silenced.
Johnny has taken enough of my voice. I have the right to tell my story. I have the right to say what happened to me. I have the right to my voice and my name. He took it long enough. I have a right as an American to talk about what happened to me, to own my story and my truth.
Meanwhile, Depp said he was the real victim when was asked what it was like hearing his former wife take the stand.
What has it been like for you to listen to Ms. Heard's testimony at this trial?
Insane. It's insane to hear heinous accusations of violence, sexual violence, that she's attributed to me, that she's accused me of.
And he said he has no regrets.
No matter what happens, I did get here, and I did tell the truth.
At the outset of this trial, I wondered what Johnny Depp was thinking. After all, in 2020, Johnny Depp filed a lawsuit against the London-based tabloid The Sun after they called him a wife-beater. The judge in that case found that there was overwhelming evidence that Depp had assaulted Heard repeatedly throughout their marriage and that she was in fear of her life. But in many ways, Depp has already won here. Even though he's a superstar, he's increased his Instagram following by 50% based on this trial, even though he hardly posts. And if you go through social media, all you see are hashtags and videos supporting him and attacking Amber Heard. Joining me now is the reporter covering this case extensively from inside the courtroom, the great Anjanette Levy from the Law and Crime Network, which I founded. Thank you so much for coming on the program. We really appreciate it. So what do you make of the jury question? What are people there saying that we can interpret from it?
Well, it's kind of hard, Dan, but the headline, the judge said, is a separate issue from the entirety of the op-eds. You have to look at that headline. And what's interesting about this is the fact that we heard testimony that this whole sexual violence claim, and, you know, she didn't write that headline, but she did retweet the article with a comment, and she did, I guess, therefore endorse it. We heard testimony during the trial that she never alleged sexual assault until after Johnny Depp had sued her over this op-ed. So it makes you kind of wonder, are they looking at that and looking at that question about the headline and wondering, did she just let that fly and let that get put out there without correcting it? And does that rise to the level of actual malice? We just don't know. We don't know what the jury's thinking, but it certainly piqued all of our interest.
Yeah, and that is, I think, the best shot that Johnny Depp has to win this is to say that phrase about sexual violence didn't happen for some of the reasons that you're laying out. There's also another scenario I've been thinking about, which is where they, and I know this isn't likely, but where they both could win, which is where it could be found that that line, the sexual violence, was defamation by Amber Heard, but that also that Johnny Depp's lawyer defamed Amber Heard in making certain comments about how she and her friends were cooking this all up and how this is all a hoax, etc. So in theory, it is possible that a jury could come back and say they both won, correct?
In theory, it's possible, but you have to consider that Adam Waldman testified that he felt he had done his due diligence, he had looked into this, he had talked to 9 people, he said, who told him there was no evidence and they saw no bruise on her face. And that's what he was speaking of. He was also then saying that they used these false abuse claims as both a sword and a shield. So he was saying that. So he's addressing also the sexual abuse claims. So, but if we're going back to the restraining order, he said he spoke to 9 people who didn't see that bruise on her face. So I think it's harder for her to prove this against Adam Waldman, because if he believed what he said was true and he was defending his client, she may not have much of a chance there.
And real quick, Anjanette, in terms of timing, people there believe a longer deliberation helps one side or the other, or no one knows?
No, I mean, I don't think anybody knows, but obviously the jury, you know, they didn't come back today with a verdict. They'll be back tomorrow morning. They are obviously going through this. The jury instructions were more than 35 pages, and they're, you know, they can be confusing. I think they tried to keep them as simple as possible, and there are all these questions they have to answer. So they probably are taking this seriously. They spent 6 weeks on this case.
Yeah. Anjanette Levy, thank you so much for sticking around. We really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.